Okay, so here's a question that is probably landing on marketing desks absolutely everywhere right now. Should we roll this shiny new AI tool out to the whole team? The honest answer? You probably don't know yet. And frankly, neither does the vendor. I mean, sure, their glossy case study looks amazing, but that only proves the tool worked in their specific context. It tells us practically nothing reliable about yours. So welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going to build a really rigorous step-by-step framework to design an AI marketing pilot. Our ultimate goal here is to generate real, hard evidence about your specific context, all before you commit a single dollar of budget, move any headcount, or, risk your hard-earned brand reputation. All right, here is our roadmap for today. First, the AI pilot trap. Then, selecting the right tool, designing a fair comparison, guardrails and honest measurement, and finally, making a defensible decision. Let's just dive right in. Section 1, the AI pilot trap, or how to avoid running fake pilots. Listen, a pilot is absolutely not just flipping a switch on a new tool for 2 weeks and asking your team, hey, did you like it? That's not a pilot, that's just a vibe check. It's an extended demo that produces opinions, not actual evidence. A real pilot is fundamentally different. It's a strictly controlled comparison tied to a metric the business actually cares about, and it features a decision rule that you set before you look at a single piece of data. Now, what's really interesting about this decision rule is that the entire magic relies on setting it in advance. Making that commitment early is literally what converts a vague, hey, this kind of seems good, into concrete, defensible evidence that you can confidently bring into a high-stakes budget meeting. Actually, everything else we talk about in this framework exists simply to protect the integrity of that one rule.
To keep things grounded throughout this explainer, we're going to anchor all these abstract concepts to a concrete example. Let's meet Maple and Bean. They are a fictional, direct-to-consumer coffee brand based in Ontario. Their big question? Should they use AI to write their Shopify product descriptions or just stick to humans? Keep in mind, every figure we discuss for them is totally illustrative, just for teaching purposes, not real data. Moving right along to Section 2, selecting the right tool. You always want to pick the tool to fit the task, never the other way around. So, before you do anything, you need to run 5 essential checks. Does it actually do the job? Does it play nicely with your current tech stack? And this is absolutely crucial. Does it allow for human review? Also, are the privacy terms acceptable for laws like PIPEDA or Quebec Law 25? And finally, is the cost defensible when you scale it up? For our friends at Maple and Bean, a tool built right into their admin platform that requires a mandatory human approval step fits the bill perfectly. All right, Section 3. Designing a fair comparison. The golden rule here? Change one thing. Step 1 of our framework is naming your decision in one single sentence and then scoping it down hard. Remember, exploring AI without boundaries is just a hobby. It's not a pilot. For our coffee brand, the core decision is, should we use AI drafted descriptions across the full catalog? We are scoping that down to one specific task, product descriptions only, and setting one strict boundary, their next 30 product launches. If you start mixing tasks, you'll totally contaminate your results. For step 2, you've got to avoid those shiny vanity metrics. Don't just track the total number of descriptions you generated in an afternoon. Why? Because volume isn't value. Measuring real, tangible business outcomes is literally the only way to prove if a tool is actually effective for your team. So, Maple and Bean are going to judge success based on their product page conversion rate. That's the percentage of visitors who actually add an item to their cart. They pull an illustrative baseline of 2.5%. That right there is the exact number the AI needs to beat, or at the very least, match, while ideally dropping the overall production time. Which brings us to step 3, building that fair comparison. The core principle you must remember here is to change only one thing. You absolutely have to avoid confounds. Those are the silent, hidden variables that sneak in, mess up your data, and make it impossible to know what actually drove a change in your results. The setup here is brilliantly simple. Group A gets human-written copy, and Group B gets AI drafts. But notice how everything else, the photos, the prices, the layout, even the launch date, is held completely identical. Now, one honest caveat we should mention. If your store has really low traffic, you have to acknowledge upfront that this might just give you a directional signal rather than, absolute statistical proof. Section 4, Guardrails and honest measurement. It's time to set up our safety nets. Step 4 is all about putting on your armor.
Generative tools will, without a doubt, confidently hallucinate false information. Because of that, mandatory human review is totally non-negotiable. You need to build a clear checklist for accuracy and brand voice and establish a ruthless rule for rejecting bad drafts. And hey, logging what gets edited isn't just busy work. It's crucial evidence for your final decision.
There's actually a fascinating academic study by Reisenbichler and colleagues that perfectly backs up why we do this. We aren't just testing the raw AI model, we are testing the entire workflow. That means the AI plus a human reviewer. The real question is whether that tag team can produce accurate copy faster than a human could do it alone.
Moving to step 5, it's time to run the test for a fixed window and analyze what happened. Let's say we ran our coffee brand test for 4 weeks. Group A converted at 2.5% and Group B at 2.6%. So essentially flat. But Group B took a fraction of the time to produce. One massive warning here, though. Please resist the temptation to stop a test early just because you see a number you like. You have to read the data honestly.
Finally, Section 5, making a defensible decision. Are we going to scale, iterate, or stop? For step 6, you apply that decision rule from step 2 exactly as you wrote it. And there are really only 3 honest outcomes here. You scale it if the evidence clearly passes your threshold. You iterate if it's promising but not quite conclusive, like maybe you need to refine your prompts and run around 2. Or you simply stop if it didn't beat the baseline. And honestly, stopping is a huge win. You just saved your company from a very costly, ineffective rollout.
Step 7 is where you consolidate. Look, a pilot that nobody can read is a pilot nobody acts on. Ditch that sprawling 40-page data dump. Instead, create a crisp, single-page decision memo. It should just have the core question, the metric, the results, and your final recommendation, complete with an owner and a deadline. Your rigorously gathered data is really only half the battle. Synthesizing that data into a clear, decisive, one-page format is what actually ensures leadership can digest the information and approve your action plan. The data gets you in the room, but that memo, that's what wins the day. Let's do a quick recap by sticking to these 7 pragmatic steps. Choosing the right tool, defining the decision, setting a metric, designing a fair comparison, building guardrails, analyzing honestly, and presenting clearly, you totally protect your brand. You cut right through the industry hype, and you uncover actual, tangible business value. So I'll leave you with this thought. Are you ready to convert, hey, this seems good, into concrete, defensible evidence? Try applying this framework to the very next AI tool that hits your desk, and just watch how real evidence completely transforms your decision-making. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.